Hello everyone, my name is Alissa Dan. I'm a certified massage therapist and health educator, structural relief therapist, and level 3 advanced neurokinetic therapist. I am the owner of Empowered Living Advanced Body Therapy, Sonoma County Family Alternative Health and Wellness. I utilize osteopathic modalities for pain relief, relaxation, and health. Today we are going to be talking about low back stability. When people say that they don't have low back stability or their low back hurts, sometimes it can be actually from the pelvis or hips. So when people have pain going down their legs, if it's going down their entire leg, that's actually what's classified as sciatica. Though if the pain only is in your hips and doesn't go all the way down to your feet, that's not classified as sciatica. It's actually more likely a pinched nerve in your low back. So today we're going to be going over good alternatives to help release your low back, activate your low back, and help you feel better. So if you have a couple of tennis balls, you can get those out to sit on. I always love to add those all the time. So we'll sit on the 2 tennis balls, and then sometimes you can also add a 5-inch ball or cereal box or rolled up towel to add as well in between the knees so that you can compress the knees as well as engage your glutes against the tennis balls and activate the pelvis while we strengthen the low back. So let's get started. So now while sitting on the 2 tennis balls so that you are comfortable and they're evenly spaced apart, you should be able to comfortably engage your glutes and squeeze against the tennis balls evenly. If you can't do this, you need to arrange it. Get a more comfortable chair, a softer chair, put a couple towels over the top, anything to make this as relaxing as possible. Because the more stability and the more of the foundation that we can get by sitting on these tennis balls will help the entire back all the way up our spine. If we're not even in the pelvis, how can we properly engage and strengthen the low back? It doesn't work. So while sitting on the 2 tennis balls and with the ball, a bigger ball or a rolled up towel in between your knees, you can add that later or add it now if you'd like. Sit on the 2 tennis balls and squeeze your glutes against the tennis balls. We're going to go through a couple of sequences to get used to how this feels. And also it helps warm up your pelvic floor area so that your back will more naturally relax and let go. So here we go. Okay, so sit on the 2 tennis balls, squeeze your glutes together. I always love to add Kegels with this because we need to understand how to properly do a Kegel. Kegels need to draw up the pelvic floor evenly, the front and the back. So if you pull up your pelvic floor while engaging the glutes a little bit against the tennis balls, you should feel them evenly contract and draw up. If the front is a little higher than the back, then you need to lower the front a little bit and engage more of the back. Most of the time, we are tighter in the front than in the back. It's harder to engage the back than it is the front, usually. Most people, that's what the case is. And if you're having low back pain, most likely it's because you're not engaging your glutes as you're moving through your day. So here we go. We squeeze the glutes together, draw the pelvic floor up evenly, the front and the back, and then bring it back to neutral. Now keep engaging the glutes, squeeze and push down the pelvic floor evenly, front and back. Then pull back up to neutral and relax the glutes. So now we're going to do this with breath because our diaphragms move down and up as well as the pelvic floor diaphragm. The pelvic floor diaphragm moves down and up. The regular diaphragm, abdominal diaphragm, moves up and down with our breath. We have another one in our throat and another one in our brain. All 4 of these pelvic floors move down when we breathe in and up when we breathe out. Take a deep breath in. Push the pelvic floor down. Breathe out, pull the pelvic floor up. Breathe in, push the pelvic floor down evenly, front and back. Breathe out, pull the pelvic floor up. Now come back to neutral. Now we're going to add the tennis balls. So while sitting on the tennis balls, squeeze your glutes against the tennis balls. Take a breath in, push your pelvic floor down as far as it'll go, evenly, front and back. Take a breath out, pull your pelvic floor up while keeping the engagement on the tennis balls. Breathe in and push your pelvic floor down all the way, front and back, evenly. Breathe out, pull your pelvic floor up as high as you can, evenly. Come back to neutral and relax the glutes. So this helps to prime the pelvic floor for engaging even more with the low back sequence. So just by doing this, we've evened out the pelvic floor so that both sides of your hips are more even and relaxed. If you do notice that one side of your hip tends to tighten more than the other, then you want to actively engage the opposite, the hip that isn't tightening as well a little bit more to offset this other side. A lot of the times we're obviously not symmetrical. So sometimes one hip tends to be tighter than the other. So to accommodate this, you have to try and make everything as evenly as possible. If your hips are even, then that's what evens you out. But if one hip, like I said, is tighter than the other hip, you have to augment that in order to compensate, because your body's naturally compensating already to hold one hip to be tighter than the other. So we have to do the opposite of that to increase the tonicity of the side that isn't activating as much, so that the brain can let the side that is activating more. It gives the brain a chance to actually release that. And that's better for your body. So if something is tighter, you need to activate the side that doesn't feel as connected. You need to activate that more and release more of the right side in order to even yourself out. Same with your legs, your knees in front of you. If one side is tighter or you're really feeling a lot of pressure pressing against that ball, then that's good, but you need to activate the opposite side just as much. So if you can't activate that opposite side enough to even yourself out, then you need to lessen the tension on the side that is tighter. So now we will add the low back. So the low back, in and of itself, the opposite of the low back is the abdominals, the core. So when the low back is tight, it usually means the abdominals are not engaged as much. So, and it can be the opposite. If you're too tight in the abdominals, you're not engaging enough in the back, and you can have something off or something engaging too much in the front. The same thing can happen. Again, most commonly, the back is more engaged than the front. So we're looking to release the low back and engage the abdominals, because when we actively engage the opposite muscle, that allows its opposite muscle to release. Because like a bicep tricep sort of thing, you can't tense the bicep and the tricep at the same time. If you tense the bicep, the tricep has to release in order to move your arm up. Same with when you bring your arm down. The bicep has to release and the tricep has to contract in order to release the bicep. So we can do this as well by releasing the low back with our fists, or if you have a couple extra tennis balls, so 4 tennis balls total, keeping the tennis balls under your pelvis, and then putting either 2 more tennis balls at your low back comfortably, not in the kidney area, but comfortably low back, or your fists. You press into the low back. So you're gonna press into the low back, release that. So we're gonna keep our fists here. Squeeze your glutes together. Breath in, push down. Breath out, pull up. Keep the pulling up as much as you can. If you can't, come back to neutral. Release the low back, keeping everything engaged. Release, press, rub, press back, sort of thing. And then while keeping the pelvic floor up in that position, if you can, otherwise bring it back to neutral. Lean forward and activate the glutes while breathing normally. And for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Come back to neutral, drop the pelvic floor down, and back to neutral, and release the glutes, and breathe normally. So you can do this in sequence and move through different things to actually release. So we can do that with the pelvis, we can also just do it with the back. So this time we're just going to do it with the back, and start there. Since we're already engaged on the glutes, on the tennis balls, the glutes on the tennis balls, we're going to press into the low back and lean forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax, come back, take a breather. Now, if you're on the tennis balls, usually what happens is even if you don't intentionally engage the glutes, the body, the pelvis will naturally partially engage against the tennis balls. This is a good thing. This gives your body and your brain proprioception so that it works well with what you are doing. So with them engaged, now we're going to engage the glutes against the tennis balls. Press your hands into your back, just enough to release, whatever feels good to release, because we're telling the brain to stop overworking the low back, and then leaning forward and engaging the abdominals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Come back to neutral. Relax your fists from your low back and relax the glutes. So by doing these sequences on a more regular basis, you're allowing the pelvic floor to engage properly, to allow everything to even out while you have the appropriate stimulus for the pelvis area. You are also allowing the rest of your back to even out. So when you have that foundation in place, and at some point you may not need it as much, and that's fine, but if your pelvis isn't even, you're not going to get the full even contraction of everything else. So I hope this video was enjoyable, and if you have any questions, my number is 707-536-1147. You can email me at Alissa, ALISSA, @empoweredlivingmassage.com. Any questions about Arbonne and suggestions on how to improve with that supplementation, you can check out my website at www.alissadan.arbonne.com. And I will look forward to talking with you next time. Thank you.